Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe, that is Stephen Howson, and today we are looking at Manchester United's big problem. We've got a few. We've got the Glazers, we've got this, that we keep conceding too many goals. But I would say our biggest problem this season is our lack of ability to score goals. Would you agree with that?
Joe, I think everyone's going to agree with that.
Yeah.
I genuinely...
It's hard to deny it.
There's some things that this United fan base will never agree on.
Yeah.
But I think we're quite unified at the moment in, Jesus, we couldn't score in a brothel, lad.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We've only had one player score 10 goals in the league, and Rashford, who's got 16, still, you want someone scoring more than 16 in an ideal world. And The Athletic put out a graphic today that I think is worth looking at, where they basically showed how teams have achieved against their expected goals. So I'm sure everyone knows, but for those who don't, the expected goals is a model that looks at any given chance and gives you a percentage that chance will go in based on other chances like that in the past. That's pretty much right, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, I think there's over 10 seasons now and tens and tens and tens of thousands of goals, and they've just basically, this isn't guesswork, this is data based on what happened.
Yeah.
So they've taken, that was where the ball was shot from,
yeah.
and they've even, whether it was from a cross, whether it was from a dribble, whether it was a header or whether it was on the floor, they've taken all that data, mushed it into a big system, yeah. and then can come up with a number associated with that. Like a halfway line screamer, 1% chance.
Yeah.
Nobody on the line,
yeah.
1 yard out, inside the 6 yard box. Not a 1 out of 1 chance.
chance.
Yeah, not a 1 out of 1 chance. It probably is in the 94 or 95. Yeah. It's lower than you think it'll be.
Yeah.
Like if you go into the corner of the box, what I would used to call a Pro Evo goal.
Yes.
You come in at the corner of the box, you only like that Tony Marshall kind of bosh into the opposite corner, 20% chance.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not as you think, 1v1, 50-50 this surely. Not a prayer, more like 20%.
So it takes into account all of those things based on many, many leagues of professional football to give you a mathematical percentage of any shot going in. So here is the graphic that The Athletic put out. And you can see there, up at the top, you've got City and Arsenal with a difference of 14-ish each, which basically means they've scored 14 more goals than they should have based on the chances that they've had. All the way down there you see 17th with Manchester United, 4th from bottom, and we've scored 7 goals less than we should have, which basically means our strikers aren't clinical enough, are they? Like, there is no two ways about it. We're not like in the middle somewhere. Even if you were at 0, you could kind of take it. You've scored what you've made.
If you throw the graphic back up there, like Liverpool, I know for a fact that Núñez is way under.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take a guess here that Salah's probably got them. He's probably outperformed. Therefore, theirs is very balanced and very close to where it's meant to be. You know, they've got 67. They should have had 66.77.
Yeah,
so
that works.
They're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
And it generally is quite around that. You do see the better teams generally a little bit outperforming what their XG should be. And that's why they are the better teams.
Yeah,
but not by. 14 is quite crazy.
Yeah. So let's have a look at United's this season. United, and that's The Athletic's data on this. And we've used a website and a company called Understat, who there are, interestingly enough, multiple different ways of accounting or counting XG.
There are multiple different models of it. So you'll get a variation in score. Some games you'll go, let's have a look at what they thought. XG Philosophy is one. I think Opta does its own.
Yeah.
So there are multiple different ways of gathering this data. I don't know who The Athletic use. I'm going to guess it's Opta.
Yeah. So we're using Understat, which puts United's XG this season even worse than that at -14. So it may be somewhere in the middle. It may be 17, it may be 14, it may be somewhere in the middle. But we're going to stick with Understat just because that's what we have access to for the data that we're going to use.
Yeah, so Understat allows you to break it down per player.
Yeah, and Understat is exceptional. So this season we've got an XG of 62.7 and we've scored 14.19 goals less than that, or underachieved from that. Compare that to last season where we only had 58 in all competitions, in the Premier League, but after all of the games, and we scored only 1 goal less than expected. So we ended up hitting that pretty neutral mark. But already this season, we have created more good chances under Ten Hag than we did in all of last season. That's the positive. That's the good thing. For a couple of examples where we've made more chances than we've scored this season, where we've really been underneath that mark. The Newcastle game at home, the 0-0, we had an XG of 1.42, didn't score a goal.
Robbery.
And even the Everton game a few weeks ago that we won, The XG was 4.39.
Yeah, we smashed them.
We smashed them, and we only scored 2 goals. So that's the sort of issue that we're looking at here. And just
pretty sure
that
XG was further apart than when we lost 7-0.
I think it was further apart than United versus Liverpool. So looking back at last season, and this isn't. We're going to talk about Ronaldo here. This isn't me saying we need Ronaldo back by any means, but Ronaldo,
because that's what them notes say over there.
Ronaldo still had some glimmers of a top striker in him last season. There were still little hints. Specifically, the 2 hat-tricks he scored against Spurs and Norwich, where we won 3-2 in both games and had a cumulative XG of under 3 in both of those games. We scored 6 goals, and the XG was less than half of that. That is because we had a Cristiano Ronaldo with a bit of individual brilliance scoring hat-tricks to win us games. We don't have that this season. We have Rashford, who is basically hitting 1-to-1 XG to goal, which is good. That's all you can expect. And almost everyone else is under their XG. That's not going to work, is it?
No. Sancho's over his.
Yeah, I think he's 1 over.
He's outperformed his. Part of the reason that is he don't shoot.
Yeah.
Anthony's is under. Part of the reason why he's mega under, or he should be a lot more under, but part of the reason he's under is because when they go in, they're quite low chances. Yeah. So it really ramps up.
He gets a lot of goes at it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Because the amount of goals he scores, is it 4?
Yeah.
He's having the second most shots per game.
Yeah.
At United. Bruno's is a way under his. And Eriksen is a fair way under his as well. So Eriksen actually is the worst performer in terms of XG for United.
Yeah, he scored 1 goal, and statistically he should have scored 4, which is obviously he's not expected to score, and 4 goals wouldn't have made a huge difference, but it would have been nice. And this is the interesting thing with this is it's consistent across the squad. Like I said, I think it's pretty much only Sancho in forward positions who is doing better than expected. And when you've only scored 5 goals, it's hard to say you've done better than expected, but he's been slightly better than the odds would say. It's absolutely obvious that we need a striker. We need someone that can consistently hit or overachieve on their expected goals. Because you look at Haaland, you look at Martinelli, you look at Saka, Odegaard in particular as well. The players who are scoring the goals for the teams that are doing well are all exceeding their expected goals. And it's a bit of a... I think some people look not down at XG, but sort of don't necessarily know whether it's reliable, whether it's good, whether it's just sort of modern day Twitter nonsense.
It's what you use it. It's a good measure for example, Raheem Sterling. He's a terrible finisher.
Yeah.
Well, people go, but he scored 34 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still a terrible finisher. Like Erling Haaland, I think he's had what is he on, 35 goals?
Yeah.
He's done it in 108 shots.
Yeah.
It's phenomenally good finishing.
Yeah.
What's he under on his XG?
I'm not sure. We can have a look at that hopefully if we get Haaland's for the season. But yeah, we'll find that out.
But it is a great measure. For a striker, it's a fantastic measure. If you're trying to measure your centre half by his expected goals, it's probably not going to go well for you.
Yeah.
But it's a great measure of... I like using XG for a measure of how did the game go?
Yeah.
Was this a 0-0 game? It was 0.8 for them and 0.75 for them. 0-0's fair. Yeah. If it says 5-1, but the XG was 0.5, 0.5, we go, it wasn't a 5-1 game.
Yeah.
And ultimately the result is the biggest thing that matters.
Of course.
But from a training or a coaching or a development of how is this team doing point of view, you can go, okay, we probably didn't get the result we deserved in that game.
Yeah.
Let's not panic.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get battered 5-1...
consistently as well.
And you're losing it completely on the XG, something is going wrong that needs fixing.
Yeah.
So I think it's good information. It just depends on what you're using it with. Yeah, if you try and judge your left back on his XG, it's not going to work for you. I think it's a good metric for goalkeepers.
Yeah.
The expected saves model as well. This is basically the opposite of the expected goals one. But also, I think the expected goals model for how did the game go and how clinical is a striker. If you've got a striker that's just shooting from the edge of the box all the time, he might miss a ton of chances because they're such low effective chances. And that you might be able to use that as a training tool and say, let's start taking it just past the D, get into the box, then start shooting, and you'll probably see his strike rate just go through the roof.
Yeah. We've got Haaland's stats here. So he should have scored 30.7 goals and he scored 35. So he's over it by 4.3, which, again, for a top striker, he'll probably do that relatively consistently for the next decade, won't he? Because consistently, should I say?
I'm just going to have a look at a particular individual who I said had poor finishing.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure if they have, because they was piped off a little bit this year.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, I want to bring up another thing. And Bruno Fernandes, we've talked about his goal scoring that has been slightly under what it should be. His assist making, his chance creation, I don't know if it's still the case, but as of recently, he had created more chances than anyone else in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. He does
that consistently.
He's had 7 assists this season in the Premier League. Statistically, he should have had 15, which is absolutely astonishing, the difference there. You look at Haaland, who's the best striker in the world. He's only outscored his by 4.3. Bruno has been under-assisted, or has under-assisted by 8. That is ridiculous. Like, the amount of wasted chances that Bruno Fernandes has created is genuinely amazing. Who have you got there?
So it's Gabriel Jesus.
Yes.
Because I didn't think he was a good finisher.
Yeah.
And I based that on the fact that in his career at Manchester City, he had underperformed his XG every season.
Yeah.
This season, XG of 15.47, scored 10.
There you go.
So he's 5 point.
And he's lucky that they've got Martinelli and Odegaard overachieving so much and bailing him out. Now, another striker that has overachieved this season, again, by a similar amount to Haaland, is Harry Kane. And the reason we keep bringing him up, United are linked with Harry Kane.
Since when?
Yeah, exactly. He seems to be, to me, the easiest option to kind of, you get him in, it makes sense. This season, Harry Kane has scored 26 goals. His expected goals was 21. So again, he's outscoring his XG by more than Haaland is. He's just not having as many chances as Haaland, partly because of his play style, partly because of the team that he's in. His expected assists as well, he should have had 7.1 assists. He's only had 3. That's because the players around him aren't very clinical. Like, you look at Kane, and it's obvious that he is better than the players around him just from those 2 stats. Now, if you compare Bruno Fernandes underachieving with his assists and Harry Kane's overachieving with his goals, that is potentially.
I know what you're saying.
But that's like a De Bruyne Haaland combo coming along there. Maybe not, but like
minimum 100 goals.
Minimum 100 goals. But imagine those 2 as a combination there. Bruno's chance creation and Kane. That could make such a difference, couldn't it?
They could work together. Because I think there is a potential that they get into similar areas at the same time.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say the maths is mathing on that one.
Yeah. And just for United to have a striker that overachieves and a team that overachieves, which, looking at that data, if we bring that graph back up again, that athletic one, you need to, because it's no coincidence that, I know obviously Tottenham are sort of an outlier there, but you look at the teams who are overachieving compared to what we thought this season. Fulham, way better than we thought. Villa, I know that they're only slightly over, but they've done better than we thought in the end. Brentford, the same. Arsenal, massively better than we thought. And City, of course, top of the league. But it's like the teams that have done well are at the top of that, and the teams that have done shit, West Ham fighting for their lives, Everton might well get relegated, Wolves the same, Chelsea, I think the worst season any team's ever had, based on expectation to reality. They're all at the bottom. Yeah. The only one that, look, bring that back up again, the only one that is doing okay from 14 down is Man United.
Outliers.
We have currently got the best.
I think Brighton.
Yeah, no, we're 14 down. That's why I didn't include them, because it was tactical, you see. But Man United have currently got, I think, the best expected goals to points ratio of anyone in the league, which is a slightly odd thing to say, but
expected goals to points ratio, nerds assemble. Yeah,
we're all getting in it now. And if we want to go one step further, and this is where I've really gone off the deep end, Steve, and you're just going to have to go with me on this. I was thinking, where would United be if we'd have scored the amount of goals we should have? That's a pretty simple, we can all get that. Yeah? Where would we be? Because we're 4th. How good could it have been? If not,
Is this the expected points table?
This is the expected points per goal table. So
you've created your own thing.
So what I did is I ran the numbers here. I ran the numbers and I looked at Newcastle.
While you're running your numbers, I'm going to see what the expected points table is, because that actually looks at your scores in games.
Okay, well let's do that.
So you do that. Let's have a look at your table.
So what I looked at is I looked at Newcastle, I looked at Arsenal, and I looked at City, and they are averaging, coincidentally enough, 1 goal per point this season. So what I said is, all right, well, for the goals that we should have scored, I'll give us a point per goal. Same ratio as these big boys. If we'd have got an extra 7 goals this season, that would be an extra 7 points. That would put us there, comfortably third, right? No question of Liverpool catching us, be on 70 points, whatever. You know what? That's not too bad. If we'd have just scored the goals we were meant to, we'd be roughly there.
And that doesn't look like a mental table, Joe.
No, that's about right. That's how we've been for most of the season. Here's the one where I really went off the deep end, where I thought, let's just push this. So City and Arsenal have both got 14 XG this season, plus 14. If we had plus 14 with 1 goal per point, bring it up full screen. Top of the league, Steve. If we'd and to me, that's the real table. That's the only one that matters. None of this Liverpool are going to catch us nonsense.
Keep it on, Joe.
I'm doing a parade off of that.
Don't have me in this picture when you're...
Look at the state of that, Steve. Have I gone too far?
Don't have me in this picture when this gets clipped up. I want to just be, no, I have fuck all to do with this.
Have I gone too far?
You have gone too far.
But the point I'm making is, obviously, that this is just theoretical nonsense at this point. But what I'm saying is, if United could get to a point where
why don't we do an expected attendance table?
That'd be good.
We're going to finish top of that fucker every week. Well.
If we could get to doing what City and Arsenal do, outstripping it by like 14, you're talking about a proper team there, Steve.
I mean, outstripping your XG by 14 needs an absolute dead eye.
That's true.
Or 3. Yeah. Because Spurs isn't all on Harry Kane. Who else is killing it for Spurs?
No one.
Well, someone is.
Well, no, not really, because everyone else is like 0.4, 0.6. Son is under. Richarlison is under. I think the only other... Højbjerg is doing better than he should, but he's got like 3 goals. It's literally Harry Kane dragging them up there.
So in the expected points table,
yeah,
the actual expected points table, City are first.
Yeah.
And they're on 78 points. So if you throw up the actual table, let's see how far off this is.
So other than United's points, everyone there is correct.
All right, so the expected points. So this is taking into account the points because there'll be some games that you probably should have lost on XG.
Yeah.
So City are on 78 at top, so not far off.
Yeah.
Arsenal are second.
Yeah.
Now they're miles under it. They're supposed to be on 68 points, but they're still second, but by a long way. And I think that's about right in terms of like the quality of the teams. Third, who do you reckon third?
Chelsea.
Brighton.
Fuck off.
Brighton third, by a few points to Arsenal, who's fourth.
United.
Newcastle.
Right.
Lot of 1-0 wins in there, isn't there? Basically on the same expected points as Brighton. Fifth.
United. Come on.
Newcastle.
Again? They were fourth.
Liverpool. Which means...
That's right.
Manchester United are in sixth.
Well... You know what?
With, and honestly, 6th on 56 points, which is a long way off the top. A hell of a long way off the top.
But what I preferred, Steve...
And then Tottenham, Brentford,
bring
Chelsea.
up the other table. What I preferred to look at, Steve, was actually this table. The one that we've already just looked at. Man United actually being 14 better than we are now. And we're top of the league at that table. And that's really all that I care about. Obviously, this is silly pie in the sky, taking it to the extremes.
I think what it does show you in that, though, is that there's still... the fact that we're 6th on expected points, and expected points has looked at the expected goals of every game and then awarded you 3 points, 1 point or no points based on whether or not you should have won that game, just based on purely XG of each individual game rather than an accumulative where did you come. It's looked at those individual games because you might have had amazing XG, like Liverpool would have had a bit of a pile on against us, but then they've had it more even against some of the teams that they have won still. So it just looks at those individual games. I think gives you a bit more of a true reflection. But it shows that we're in the top 6, but there is a lot of work to do still.
There's a long way to go.
Bruno Fernandes creating chances, he is.
Yeah.
And he's racking up his expected assists. That's in turn racking up our expected goals, but it's still not enough. You've got to create more chances and finish them. Yeah. Long way to go. And keep more out of the back.
Absolutely long way to go. But we've all seen my table. We basically know United are top of the league at the minute, which fingers crossed we can stay there till the end of the season.
Just tag me when you clip this up.
You know what I'm saying. I'm messing about, but it's a good example. It's a good point. United need to score more goals. We've got the statistical proof that we are underscoring based on what we should be doing. If we can get to neutral, we'll be in a good spot. If we can start overachieving, we might be able to challenge for some things. And maybe with the help of a Kane, an Osimhen, or someone else, we can get there. Thank you, Steve, for joining us. Thank you for joining us at home. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back very soon, obviously, with more videos, all the build up to the game against Wolves at the weekend as well. We'll see you in a bit.